Well, guys, we're just going to go ahead and jump into this as other people start joining on the call. Wanted to just quickly give you an idea of what we'll be talking about today. We're not going to be teaching anything per se, but what this is, it's a party call for you guys to kind of celebrate the fact we got this event coming up again. Some of you attended the last one. I know Jeff, Kiala. Let me see who else is on here that was on the last call. Antonio was a big part of the last event as well. And so what we'll be doing, I'm going to invite, first of all, our event coordinator, Christy Birch, to share some info with you guys about what you can expect at the event. She's going to share some details about the agenda so you kind of know what to expect. It's at least tentative, right? You know how these agendas go for these live events. You think you know exactly how it's going to go, and then you have to adjust on the fly sometimes, but we've got it pretty nailed down what's going on with that. And then after Christy's on, if any of you guys who are speakers for the event like to share some of what you think you'll be talking about, if you've got it planned out, great. If you don't have it planned out yet, that's fine too. But if you wanted to share a little bit about what you're thinking about discussing during the call, that would be amazing. And then any past attendees want to share for others who haven't attended WebinarCon yet, you'll be able to share kind of what your takeaways are and how best to maybe prepare for the event, what to expect, how to get the most out of it. Now, we're not going to ask you guys to give or whatever. Just feel free to share whatever you feel like sharing with others. So that we'll get to that a little bit later. And then if we have time, we do maybe a hot seat or two. You guys feel free to share some 2-minute tips on what's working with webinars today for you if you'd like. So the point is, this call's all for you, right? As we prepare for the live event. And so without further ado, I'm just going to hand it over to Christy. So Christy, go for it. Tell us what we can expect this coming event.
Absolutely. And actually real quick, can you make me host so I can share my screen? Looks like it didn't take the first time.
There you go.
Perfect. I just wanted to share some photos of our venue. We're going to be at the Hyatt Regency, which is, I think it's pretty popular with digital marketing events. I think some of the first TNC conferences were hosted here. So they're no stranger to digital marketers, and I know you're a rowdy bunch. So it's good. We're across the river from the actual downtown, but just separated by that bridge that you see there. So it's just a quick half-mile walk maybe to anything that you'd want downtown. But there's a Starbucks on site, so that's great. We can all stay highly caffeinated. Beautiful views of the river just off of the lobby, and the view of downtown from where we're at the Hyatt Regency. So it's a great location, super close to downtown. I don't know who might not be familiar with Austin, but Austin is such a fun city, has so much personality, so much going on. They really, I don't think, suffered much from the pandemic and all the shutdowns. I was just there a couple of weeks ago, and everything's open, everything's hustling and bustling. So we should have lots of fun, lots of opportunities to hang out and enjoy the city. So here is the look at our tentative agenda. It's pretty well dialed in. It's not super tentative, but we're going with the same plan as last event, where Friday is themed as get more attendees, Saturday is convert more sales, and then Sunday is earn more profits. I won't go through this line by line, but we're just going to kick off at 9 a.m. each day. So we want to see everyone in their seats bright and early, right? With coffee in their hands at 9 a.m. And then Tommy Powers is going to kick us off, followed by Robbie Blanchard. We're going to have sponsor spotlights throughout the event so that we can hear from our awesome sponsors and what they have to say and what they have to offer to you guys. We're going to have tons of time for speed deals and networking. We've definitely added some more opportunities for that, because I think that was some of the feedback from last event, is that you guys wanted more time to connect and network. So we made sure to build in intentional networking time there. Lunch each day, we'll have a nice hot buffet lunch provided for everyone each day. So you don't have to worry about that. And then we're going to hear from Anik on day one virtually, and then Kurt Molly, is that how you say his last name? Is it Mally or Molly? Somebody help me.
Molly.
Okay, Molly. And then Mastermind Sessions, we're going to have some breakouts. And I won't disclose too much information on that. That's going to be a surprise later. And then daily leaderboard awards. So we're going to have some contests happening just like last time. Networking contests to see how many deals can be made via our event app. I think we might have a few more restrictions in place, so it's not quite the Wild West like it was last time, but we're definitely going to have some incentives and some prizes for you guys to make sure you're making deals whenever you're in your speed networking sessions. So we'll have more details on that closer to the event. And then that night, so Friday night, we have our first networking mixer after the close of the event from 9 to 11. These are going to be super fun. It's going to be offsite, downtown area in Austin. And I'm not going to disclose the locations because we want it to be a surprise, but just know you don't want to miss out on those. It's going to be open bar, which that's always exciting. And then everybody's going to be there. So lots of relaxed networking hangout time.
Now, Chrissy, did we decide to move the speaker sponsored dinner to Saturday?
Yes, we did. Thank you for pointing that out. I hadn't changed it on the schedule yet. So yeah, sorry for any speakers and sponsors that I had said Friday originally. We moved it to Saturday because we felt like that would be better for everyone. I just haven't updated this agenda. So thanks for pointing that out.
You know what we should do? And I haven't discussed this with Andy yet, but I think you'll agree. The folks that referred us attendees as well, like Brian Anderson, like Nehemiah, I think they should come to the speaker sponsored dinner as well. What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Except for that Brian Anderson guy. I don't know.
Especially Brian Anderson. We should have him.
Awesome. So Saturday is Convert More Sales. We've got Jeff Lerner kicking us off. And I know he spent lots of months and weeks and years working on his presentation. So it should be awesome. And then follow that up with Marisa Murgatroyd talking about how to create surprising virtual experiences that double or more your webinar conversions. Then we're going to have a conversion expert panel. We're going to have another sponsor spotlight, another hosted lunch, gong sessions, which I think is a crowd favorite. Then we're going to hear from Todd Brown, Ryan Jayden, have another mastermind sessions, and then daily leaderboard awards. And then that night, the second night, our networking mixer is going to be kind of like a Christmas party feel, because I know for those of us who maybe had an actual corporate desk job, now that we're entrepreneurs on our own, it can be lonely sometimes, and we kind of miss those, Christmas parties, right? So it's going to be more of a Christmas party theme at this networking mixer, again, offsite, someplace downtown, and we'll let you know when we're in Austin where that's going to be. And then Sunday, the theme is Earn More Profits. We're going to have Ed O'Keefe start us off, followed by Kayala. And then a scaling up expert panel, again, hosted lunch. And then Ryan Levesque is going to be joining us after lunch. And then Ron is going to close us out. And if I can just call out Kayala real quick, I've emailed you a few times. I need you to check your spam folder, I think, so you can hit me back on some things.
First, Christy, I got to say, you're one of my favorite humans on earth.
Wow.
It's the first time that we've met and you got my name right. That thing gets slaughtered all the time. So I don't know how you figured out how to say it, but thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
I've gotten your emails. I just haven't responded yet. We're planning a promotion at the moment. So I've just been really slammed busy.
No worries. I just know that you replied to one of Andy's emails and was like, I have all these filters set up. So I just wanted to make sure I wasn't getting lost in your spam folder or something. No worries at all.
We actually did our homework on your name. We watched a video television interview you did, and we had a conference call about it.
Yeah,
we got it now.
We've been doing our homework. I was going to say I have to credit Ron for that because he sent me some TV interview that you did where you coached someone on how to pronounce your name. So then I knew. I think it's important to get people's names right. It's a big deal. So it's going to be super fun. And I will go ahead and talk about housekeeping for you, Andy. Something super important is our directory, our attendee directory. Let me see if I can share that for everyone real quick. See if you guys from last year remember this. Very key part of WebinarCon, huge draw, huge value add. We list everyone's information, bio, what you do, how you serve, websites, your JV information, just right there, your offer name, the details, JV info, links. I mean, all everything that anyone would need if they're looking to see what your opportunity is, how they can work with you, promote your stuff. It's going to be all right here in this directory. This is way too long for me to show you guys. We have a page dedicated to each individual person. So super important that you guys send us your info on that. And we will post a link to the form, or has someone already done that?
It's
Yeah,
not just for JVs.
yes.
If you if not just for JVs, if you have a service or if you're an agency or anything, any type of link you want, anything you want to promote, it's free advertising to everybody at the event for you guys within this directory. And people really use it. Like Joel said, he used it and he had $1 million in sales from WebinarCon just using like a third of that directory. So it's a good resource and a good opportunity.
So yes, speakers and sponsors, everybody, we want you filling out that form so that I have all your information. And make note that the deadline is Tuesday, November 30th, that I need this information from you guys to be able to make sure that it's in the printed form. We need to make sure we get it to our designer on time. The designer gets it to the printer on time. So please, Tuesday, November 30th is the deadline for that information. So that's all I got to say. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Christy. Appreciate that. And just for some of you who wasn't in attendance for that first one, this is what it looks like in the printed form. And you can see that, I mean, all that info is something you can take with you afterwards. And I've had it sitting, in my desk all year long where I've referred back to it from time to time. And it's just like Ron was saying, Joel Peterson said that this was the most valuable piece of the event that he got. That's his opinion. I know it was valuable to me over the course of the year, staying in touch with some of you guys that attended. So, and like she said, there's a form to fill out, and that link is at webinarcon.com/form. Very easy to remember. I also dropped that in the chat box, so you guys can click on that if you haven't already done that. And this is being recorded too. This is going to be made available to those who aren't on this call. I know, like Ron said, being Black Friday, sometimes people are hanging out with family, going shopping, whatever. But I don't know about you guys. I'm working on Black Friday pretty much every year. So, all right. So, well, Christy, thanks for sharing all that. And by the way, guys, Christy's been amazing, just taking the ball and running with it for us this year for this event. She's got the venue all lined up. She's got some special fun things planned for us on Friday evening and Saturday evening as a group that we're not going to reveal exactly where it's at or whatever. We'll just let you guys know when you're at the event. But I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun during this. We've added some stuff and kept some of the things that already worked. So if I can just get into a little bit of housekeeping here, just wanted to kind of share with you that one of the things, again, is the speed dealing that we did last time. We're going to do that again. That was something that a lot of people got a lot of deals from and just had a lot of fun with that in making deals happen during the event. All right. And so as far as any other housekeeping, really, that's about it. As long as you guys have your info submitted through that form. And if you have any questions at all, you can hit Christy up. You also, for the most part, know how to get a hold of Ron or myself. If you want to ping us on Facebook or email or whatever, that's cool too. And go from there. So as far as housekeeping goes, Ron, can you think of anything I'm leaving out on that?
No, I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at something else, but I think you have it taken care of between you and Christy. I trust that you guys have it all taken care of. I was actually looking at the attendee list, and most people aren't on this call, but should we share that? I mean, we could share who's there just so people know who's coming. We have a decent amount. I mean, it looks like about 84 people and another 10 people tentative that's going to be filled the room. So we're trying to fill a room with 100 high quality people. Everybody, these are people that paid $4,000 or $5,000 for this event, and people that have a reach and have influence, and people. The content for this event is not going to be like, here's how you build a funnel. It's going to be high level stuff, and these folks are going to be there for it. So, should I could share that. Want me to share my screen?
It's up to you.
I made a separate little list. I'll post a link to it. You guys can see it as well. Let's see here. You guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not going to go through every. I'll actually post the link here for you guys to take a look at it. But, you know, high quality people, John Pemberthy, Brian Anderson, Debbie Drum, you know, all these guys. Julian Gordon, he's a big real estate guy. Some folks I've heard about but don't know personally. Matt Farmer, a GrowRev guy. Alice Seba, she's a big PLR person. Kurt Molly speaking. Let's see, Justin Mickey, he's one of the sponsors. David Sloss, big Facebook ads guy. John Benson should be coming back if he could make it past the Canadian borders. Joe Peterson again. Nehemiah, big social media Instagram guy, huge following. He's actually referred quite a few people as well, because people just, if he says go, people just come. So they're coming because of him. Mike B. Bon Tempo, is that how you pronounce that? Elliot Pittman, Ryan Allaire, Danielle Pierce, she's a big real estate niche. Her and Thomas, Brett Fogel, Danielle Leslie, she's killing it with selling how to make online courses, how to do online courses in that market. Sam Bell, big Facebook ads guy. Onyx sending a couple of guys from his team. Ty Cohen, Rachel Rofe is coming back. Francis Ablola from Real Advisors, another real estate guy. Sid has this thing with getting grants that enable from Google, right? Is that Sid's thing, Andy?
Yeah. Basically, helping people set up kind of a foundation that provides with thousands of dollars in free advertising through Google and so on for their business.
Right. Tiffany Largy, a big speaker from the stage. She's not going to be speaking at this event, but she speaks at a lot of different, it's like a keynote speaker. Sean Donahue's coming back, Donahoe. Flo Kunle, he's a sales guy, phone sales. Winter Valco and his crew, they're coming. They're one of the sponsors, the Avent guys. Mike Phil-Sam and the Groove guys are coming too, their whole crew. Joe, Matt, John, I'm excited to see them again. They're killing it with Groove funnels. They're actually going to be talking about Groove Pay, which is another service. I don't know how they're rolling out all this software, but they have like every software known to man for internet marketers at this point. Antonio's here with us. Casey, Ben Atkins, hopefully he comes back. He hasn't confirmed. He paid for it, but hasn't confirmed yet. These three have paid, but haven't confirmed yet. We're trying to get Zamora to come. Tanner said he might come. Justin, I should add him up there. He's going to come. He's like my little brother. He's definitely going to come. Or else I'm going to put him in a headlock. And that's it. John Sugar. The John and Luke say they're coming?
They are not coming, but Matt Gill is coming in their place, representing them. And of course, Matt's been an internet marketing guy for 20 plus years, I think. So he'll bring a lot of value to the room for sure.
Absolutely. So let me stop the share. I'll post a link if you guys want to check that out ahead of the event. Let me see. How do I post it? Go chat. There you go. I posted it in the chat box there.
While you're posting that, I think this is a good segue into allowing everyone to kind of introduce themselves who wants to. If you don't want to, you don't have to, but we'll give each of you a minute to, because obviously we have quite a few on here. Give each of you a minute, just say who you are, what your number one reason is for attending WebinarCon, or anything else you want to share about what you got going on so that people have a little idea of what you're about. And then what we'll do is we'll break you guys off into rooms of 3 or 4 people, possibly just 3 people. We don't have a huge, we didn't know how many would come. We sent out a bunch of emails and so on. This is kind of a bonus call for everybody. We'll break you off into a few rooms to talk for like 10 minutes. So you can get to kind of know a little bit about one another, see if there's some business to be done or something. And that'll give you some possible deal before the event even. So, but before we do that, I'll just start from the top left and go across on my screen. And Kiala, if you'd like to go ahead and jump in and just share a little bit about yourself for about a minute or so, that'd be great. And did I pronounce it right?
Kiala.
Kiala.
Kiala. Okay. All right. You think
Send in the video, Ron. Send in the video.
No, man. We had this discussion, Andy.
I'm not kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So Calic and I don't really know, have much to say, I guess, on myself. We launched my current business in the end of November of 2016. In our first year, we scaled up pretty quickly, did about 20 million in revenue the first year, grew to about 60 employees. Then 2018, my partner and I split, bottom out, is eventually how that settled. 2019 went through some pretty big overhaul of courses and content and that sort of thing. Scaled back a bit to really build, because when we scaled that quickly, it was really just a house of cards. There was a lot of stuff like built on quicksand. So scaled back 2019, planned to scale up more in 2020, but pandemic and all that sort of stuff changed some of those plans. And then now we're scaling up again in 2021 and going into 2022. We acquire customers through automated webinars. That's our number one customer acquisition source, is automated webinars. And then we plug them into on the back end to a sales team, and we sell them higher ticket packages up to 10K. Done a little over 70 million overall through that process. And, I like coming, I come to WebinarCon because I went to the first one. I wasn't really sure what to expect, but there's probably $1 billion earned in that room. With all the different players in there. And take one thing out of the room and go apply it, and that's an extra, few million bucks a year. So stoked to be here. Thanks.
Right on, KL. I appreciate that, man. One thing too, you've got a great story that feel free to share it if you like, but I actually was researching some opportunities for my boys. I have 4 kids, and looking for simple online marketing strategies, usually through affiliate marketing. And just the fact that I know you used to work in a coffee shop, right? And took that, just jumped from that into marketing and built what you built from that point. Is that right? Something like that?
Yeah. So I started out in a coffee shop in 2012. I bought my first course on online marketing in 2010, didn't do anything with it, of course. 2012, I tell the story a lot, and it's a true story. I was like so broke, I literally gave my girlfriend for her birthday a purse that my mom was taking down to Goodwill to donate for a friend of hers. I literally took it out of the cardboard box, put it in a Macy's box, and that was my girlfriend's birthday gift in 2012. 7 months later, though, so that's kind of like this moment where I was like, fuck, I got to do something with my life. And then 7 months later, I quit the job. I was full-time online. I made my first $1 million and something just purely as an affiliate marketer. And then, like I said, in 2016, we launched our own courses and a coaching program teaching what I was doing, because that's what most people asked me and ended up asking me for anyway. And then the rest is history.
Yeah, that's great. Now, $70 million later, here you are, right? Getting ready to speak at WebinarCon.
Yeah, man. With some of my heroes, bro, back when I was buying courses all the time and watching YouTube videos. Now we share the stage. It's kind of cool.
That's great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I hope you didn't mind me throwing that into the mix there. But it's, that's one thing I'll just tell you guys that really gets me fired up about all this, because I personally came from, working as a post office clerk, trying to make enough money and just take care of my family, and did similar to that. Just took the plunge and quit, and had some ups and downs. But those types of stories are just, I think we can all relate to on some level, So appreciate you sharing that, Kayala. Next, Ryan Jayden, why don't you go ahead and jump in here, share a little bit about what you'll be talking about at the event. But actually, for now, let's just talk about, who you are, what your main thing is right now. And we can talk a little bit later about what you might be sharing at the event.
Sure. Thanks, and appreciate you pronouncing my name correctly.
I know Ryan's a tough one.
I work on that. I send the information out ahead of time. I haven't done a video yet. I'm going to follow Kiala's path on that.
Well, just for that, I'm going to call you Ryan from now on, just so you know.
Hey, you can call me a lot of things. I've been called a lot. My name is Ryan. We're the $1 billion producers that nobody's ever heard of. My company, IO Consortium, myself and my 2 partners founded that several years ago. We do back-end sales for companies. My background is actually in higher education. And it's probably the second most regulated industry in the world. I used to be the international vice president for the largest private university in North America. We did about $4 billion a year of sales over the phone, and it sucked. It was so compliant all the way down to the way they compensated their sales reps. I exited that industry after about 6 years of running that division, and went out into this place that I'd never heard of before, called the internet marketing world. It was truly the wild, wild west back in the day. I can remember being at that big event when all the merchant accounts got shut down. I don't know who else was there. Is anybody else old enough? Anybody else been there? We were in Vegas, and all the merchant accounts got shut down for all the digital marketing agencies. And that was my entry point into the industry. I kind of followed my brother's coattails. Some of you might know Luke Jayden from the Postcard Profit days. I ran all of his back end sales for his company, and then later ended up going into more of the micro education niche. Now we most of our products that we sell directly compete with the traditional education market. We call them micro education components. So people can learn skill sets very quickly, deploy them, and make money instead of going through the traditional route. You know, if a working adult goes back to school after the age of 30, it'll take him 13 and a half years to get a bachelor's degree. And that just kind of turns my stomach a little bit. When you look at the list of speakers here, there's a lot of education that can happen out there in under 12 weeks that can put somebody in a better position they've ever been in. Last year, we paid out $4.81 million of commissions to our sales team. And that was a big feather in our cap. Just last year in 2020, every one of our clients we worked with set records in their digital space. We set records as a company, and so it was a great year for us. 2021 has been awesome as well. So just, but nobody knows who we are. This year, though, people know who we are. I just wrote my first book. It hit the bestsellers list last week. And it's a book directly targeted towards job seekers and people that are trying to re-career. And we'll be looking for JFEs at the event for that product, as well as speaking on the topic of doing back-end sales and maximizing conversions that way. So that's a little bit who I am, a little bit what we do. But IO Consortium is the name of the company. Like I said, we're the big time producers that make people a lot of money, but have never heard of us. So.
Yeah, that's great. And actually, guys, like we didn't know Ryan until a few weeks ago when he was introduced to us by, I think it was John Anderson, right? John Anderson, who attended the first WebinarCon and would be attending this one. He's in Australia, and just getting out of that country alone is a challenge. So they're not going to be able to make it this time. But he made this introduction, and we thought it would be a great fit for everyone who's attending WebinarCon, obviously, just based on the results they've gotten for people on the back end. So, Ryan, appreciate you joining us. And yes, I know Luke really well. I've actually worked with him off and on over the years, and just a great marketer himself. So really cool to be connected with you and have you presenting at WebinarCon and as one of our sponsors as well. So next, let's go with, it says Millionaire Barber. Millionaire Barber, what is your actual name? I know you're one of our attendees, but I'll let you.
It's Uchendiwani, but everybody just call me Chin for short. So
what was it again?
It's Uchendi.
Oh, okay, great.
But they just call me Chin.
All right, Chin.
So
nice to meet you.
Most people
Caroline referred you, right?
Yeah, Caroline. She's Nigerian.
Yeah, I've been meaning to reach out to you. Glad that you're coming.
I used to be the biggest cocaine dealer in Nashville from 90 to 93, met a kingpin, lost everything, went to federal prison, was facing 30 years to life. My dad was a minister. My mom was a school teacher. My sister went to federal prison too. We were both seniors in college. They sent me to a federal boot camp where they select 200 people a year out of 100,000. It was, everybody at the federal boot camp looked like most of you all, but I learned a lot, got introduced to people like Dan Kennedy, Tony Robbins, because I'm from the hood, so I never knew about that. But the guys there were high-level white-collar criminals, got out, no money, no job, no driver's license, bad credit, nobody would hire me. So I had a barber license, but I just didn't want to cut hair because I was used to selling kilos of cocaine, making millions of dollars. So met a lady that looked just like her, and she taught people how to open schools. And she said she didn't know if she would deal with me because she was a high-level lady and I was ex-cocaine dealer. But I told her my story, and she said, I'm gonna pray on it. And next day she said, God told me I gotta help you. So I opened up a barber school in the hood, hole in the wall, 3 years later, I got accredited. I'm on federal parole. The government's giving me hundreds of thousands of dollars every month to train these students from prison. I started teaching other barbers and stylists and nail techs how to open schools, because a barber or stylist, they don't make a lot of money. So I took Miss Velma's blueprint, and then the internet came about because I had a little CD-ROM I'd sell for $500 that I bought from the dollar store. And so I just turned it into an online course, started charging $19,000, $55,000, $2,000. I pre-sold over a couple $100,000 in books. I didn't have a book. I spoke to 20,000 people at TD Jake's Manpower Conference and came back home, was scared as hell, wrote the book, The Mean Ex-Convict, became one of the top sellers in prisons. And that's basically my story. Now they gave me that name, The Millionaire Barber. So I just teach beauty professionals how to open schools, become accredited, get government money. I'm probably the only person that does that on the planet, but that's just my spiel. But Caroline knows Ron, and she called me, she said, Chin, you must go to Ron's event. And I said, okay. So I like the internet stuff, but barbers, we're not in that space. So I partnered with some of the top beauty professionals and did their courses. So now I'd like 50-50 partners with them, but I'm just looking to network, to learn, because I'm not a tech person, not the smartest person. I just do what I can. That's it.
Well, that's an awesome story.
I don't know who's going to follow that story. That's a great
bro.
story. I'm happy that you.
That's why I like WebinarCon.
Yeah.
Right there.
I'm happy that you've turned it around. That's an amazing story. If you can succeed like that, doing it, stuff you're not supposed to be doing, you can apply those same skills to like just blowing up the stuff on the internet. So I appreciate your hustle in that regard.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Shannon. Really appreciate that. Looking forward to seeing you there. And like Ron said, it's a great story, but it's not just a story. It just shows the tenacity you have too, man. Like, just don't give up. You just keep fighting, and you're making this work on a big level. You said TD, who was it? Fakes, right? Is that his name?
TD Jakes.
Jakes. That's right. Yes. Oh, I can see his face. His last name slipped my mind there for a second. So that's great that you were able to get on stage with him and everything. So obviously at WebinarCon, with everyone you'll be rubbing shoulders with, you guys, you'll be able to just make some new connections that'll help you. And I'm sure you'll be able to help some others as well through some of what you've learned in your own marketing process, webinars or not, So
yeah, and I'm sure similar to what Nehemiah said when he came last year. He was only there for one day and he was blown away. And he said he just learned a few tips that he applied to his own business and made over 6 figures just from that one day at WebinarCon. So I'm sure you're going to come away with some gems that really going to take your business to the next level. And great niche too. That's a blue ocean right there. That's an awesome market you're in.
All right. So next on my list here is Brian Anderson. You're next one from left to right, and in the Brady Bunch type view I've got here. So Brian, what's going on, man? Hey, first of all, Brian was the winner of, gosh, what was it that Brian, what did you win last year? Webinar
networking crown. It was the crown for the most deals.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, thanks, Andy, and Chen. I don't know how I'm following you, but thank you for coming. I look forward to chatting. I'm out of Atlanta, Georgia as well, the Atlanta suburbs, and I've been internet marketing since the 90s. So long time, little bit of corporate woven in as well, over the years. And most of my webinars are a little bit different. I'm focused on long-term recurring is what I've done. I've got 4 or 5 webinars, 4 good ones and one that I'm working on, that the whole goal of the webinar is to build the recurring income base. It's not about how many sales can I make at $9.97 or $19.97. It's about that long-term recurring. And I've got, let me see, I would say for my last WebinarCon, I did attend the first one, and it was honestly the best event. It may be the best event I had attended in 10 years. I mean, bar none. Includes all the big mega events, TNCs. it was single best event because of the quality of the attendees, people like that are on this call, but it was the time we got to kind of hang out and kind of, the only reason you get deals at an event is you spend time and you build a relationship. And I was able to do that. One of the guys at WebinarCon gave me a little trick that I used 2 weeks ago that I got out of WebinarCon. And I average around 200-ish on a webinar. I had 550 using his trick that I got from a WebinarCon attendee. And it just cool stuff that we're all pretty smart guys, right? At the end of the day, and gals, but it's building on what other people are doing. And so specifically for me, I have webinars that I build out in what I would call the agency space or the local space where we're doing some kind of digital services for businesses. I try to build a recurring base where my best part about it is I pay my partners every Friday. I try to build a ever-growing partner base and get them used to the residual, because a lot of JVs, they don't like recurring. They want one time, right? Because they've been trained that recurring is bad. Well, I will tell you, at 50 years of age, recurring is much, much better than one-time pops. It is so much better. And that's been the kind of the linchpin of my business. Got a small team in Atlanta. We're about 20 odd people in Atlanta and in South Florida. And I would love to talk to Ryan already, and Kayla as well, on just the scaling that you guys are doing, because I've got an amazing model in my current system, but I'd love to sit down, get a beer and talk and figure out how we can kind of take what I'm doing and grow it a little bigger. The phone sales is an area that I hit 5-6 million a year doing what I'm doing most years, but I never break free. I never all of a sudden blow it up and hit 20 million or anything like that. And I'm okay with that. But at the end of the day, I did a webinar this past year with a YouTube influencer. Guy out of nowhere runs a product of mine. And what was amazing is he had never done a webinar because he only does YouTube, right? He said, Brian, will you mail my list for me? Because I've never emailed him. And I said, well, funny enough, I will. And so I emailed his list, 26,000 names, his past buyers of his course. And this guy gets 1,000 people on the call, max to go to webinar out. And then I asked him, I said, well, how are you selling all these people? Because his course is a $2,000 product. He said, I set up a strategy session, the old Frank Kern, Kevin Nations little strategy session, then a one-on-one call, similar to what I think both of you guys are talking about. And he says, yeah, we do 20 million most years. and he had never done a webinar. And imagine your first webinar, putting 1,000 on and shutting down GoToWebinar. So I think the most important thing all of us could do is keep our mind open to new ideas and be willing to really expand kind of what we're doing. I've had the privilege of working with Ron and Andy on and off for a couple of years. Matter of fact, Ron, a heck of a long time now. I sold a friend of mine who's building webinars. The kid's 18. And he's not on the call right now. The only reason I'm bringing him up is I sold him on WebinarCon. And similar to what Kayla said is, he's like, oh my God, a lot of these guys, I feel like they're heroes of mine. I've been watching these guys forever. I built a webinar with him a year and a half ago in the middle of the pandemic with just under $1 million in sales on it right now. And the kid's 18. He's living in a dorm room in college right now. So I can't tell you how excited I am to come. I'm coming in early and staying late, and I'm looking forward to hanging out and seeing everybody. So thanks, Andy. I appreciate it.
Right on, Brian. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I didn't realize that about the 18-year-old, the story there, that he's done that much, man. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks, Brian. Next on the list here is Antonio Thornton, good friend of mine. He was actually at WebinarCon last year as well. Now, I know he's done a lot of business with Ron. He works with Ron on a lot of the back end stuff they do, I believe, still. And so, Antonio, why don't you go ahead and share a little bit about yourself there, man?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I sent you a message, Andy. Don't worry about it. Though we got it. We're taken care of. So,
I see it now.
yeah, no worries. So Antonio Thornton, the profit engineer. I've been around, I guess, since since the internet was born. Who knows? 1994 is when I first got started. created my first website by hand using a Notepad because I couldn't afford front page at the time. And since then, what did I do? Start off selling computers and computer parts on the internet. At the time, we didn't have merchant accounts, so I would actually talk to people over the phone, and they would send me checks in the mail to send them computer parts, and that was pretty ridiculous at the time. But over the years, learned a lot. Finally, around 2000 or so, was able to figure this thing out. And worked with a few top level folks since then. I've done a project with Les Brown. Jay Abraham actually helped me start my first contingency-based marketing company. I worked with Dan Kennedy. Of course, Ron Douglas has been a partner of mine for quite some time. And Bob Doyle, Bob Proctor from The Secret have been a few clients as well. So it's been a fun ride. Actually, we closed a deal this year with the Facebook as a client for our marketing agency. So it was a fun year. So I'm definitely looking forward to WebinarCon this year. I don't know, it's hard to put it in words, but it was one of the best events I've been to, and I've been to them all, for decades. I've been going to these things, but to have the quality of people in a room that size at one time is just it's almost impossible. But it was really incredible what these guys put together, and I'm looking forward to being here again and being a part, contributing, and helping my business grow as well.
Thanks, Antonio. Man, he's actually one of the guys in our kind of testimonial reel we have as well. Appreciate the kind words there, Antonio. Always awesome to spend some time with you personally anyway. So it's awesome that you're going to be there in attendance. And one thing I wanted to mention earlier, Ron was sharing the list of people that we currently have signed up. And just know, last time, the last WebinarCon, over 50% of our people came on board the last 2-3 weeks of leading up to the event. And so we've got people right now, Mike Vilsame is one of them, I believe, just reached out to Ron and said, hey, we're coming, and so you guys can expect some others to hop on board there. We fully expect to have 100+ people there, just like last year at the event. We're obviously having more conversations with people that are coming, and we've got an eye on getting, some more high quality people in attendance. So keep an eye out for, some of these people as we get to WebinarCon. So next we have Jeff Lerner. Jeff, appreciate you joining us, man. I don't know if you're on there or not. I know you don't have your video on. Just if you are.
I'm here.
Yeah, there you are. Okay, cool.
What's up, man?
Not much, man. Share a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'll tell you that I just went out for my walk. I try to walk and work on my phone as much as I can, cardio and capitalism, right? I'll show you this. This is the best thing in my life. So this is where I live, St. George, Utah. If you've never been here, you can see why we don't want you to know about it. So that's my old house, my house. And then those lots right there, you can see excavated. We're going to break ground in about 3 months and start building a new one. So this is going to be, all my marketing videos are going to have this as the backdrop starting next year. Well, probably 2 years. Frankly, it takes a while to build a house. But that's not why you invited me on, but I just could not share. Because that's why we do what we do, right? Is like make good money and live in places like this where there's not a big job market, right? Anywho, so yeah, it's cool. It's cool to be coming back to WebinarCon. I was there at the last one. I was one of those last minute attendees that Andy's talking about. I think I emailed Onik like 4 days before the event last year. And I ended up, the cart was already closed and I had to send him a personal PayPal just to get there. So a lot of last minute stuff. And it was cool because last time I was there, I was in this room full of, all these luminary figures. And I remember being seated at a table next to Perry Belcher. And I got to meet, John Benson and Matt and just, kind of OG guys. Right. And at that time I had started it's interesting to hear Ryan talk about micro education. I kind of had this vision of like I kind of feel like the world is set up with online digital micro education versus offline macro traditional education, right? You got like big universities. I mean, University of Texas has a $50 billion endowment and a whatever, $2 billion a year operating budget. And then we have like the gurus that have the courses, and we're going to bat and delivering more for less. Well, I kind of decided to be a little crazy. And frankly, WebinarCon was part of the impetus for this, of like, screw it, just think big, think bigger, think biggest, and then bigger still. So we're kind of like macro micro education. We're actually building a legitimate institute of higher learning with a lot of operational and structural elements taken from mainstream universities. And I've kind of like bet on this big play of, and the way I describe it is, there's a guy, Lewis Schiff. I don't know if anybody knows Lewis Schiff, but he talks a lot about, he runs a fellowship at MIT, and he talks about the difference between money makers and moonshots. And the reality for most of us as internet marketers is we build money maker businesses. We build cash flow businesses, we live lifestyle businesses. We do really well because we have high margins, low overhead, a lot of operational efficiencies running digitally. But we decided to go for a moonshot, and see if we can really build like a legitimate, billion-dollar enterprise in the education space that crosses over into the mainstream. It's called Entre Institute. And at the time I was at the last WebinarCon, it was a startup. It was kind of a scrappy little idea, doing a couple $100,000 a month. So what was that, 18, 19 months ago? And in that time, we've scaled up closer to about a $60 million run rate, and our target for next year is 100. And 140 people on staff, and I probably make less money right now than anybody else on this call, because I'm not trying to get paid. I'm trying to build enterprise value. And it's just a completely different game and a completely different way of viewing the world. And it's the most fun I've ever had. So I'm excited to bring that to WebinarCon and kind of have those conversations, to say, hey, what does it look like to transcend the, I want to make a few $100,000 a month mindset to the, I want to build a 10-figure enterprise mindset. And if anybody wants to have that granular conversation, I'm right in the thick of it.
Well, great. Well, Jeff, I tell you what, man, I don't know if you remember this or not, but at the last WebinarCon, we ended up riding together back to the hotel. Oh, yeah. Right?
Yeah, and you gave me a ride back. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Best that was Uber just, ride I ever had.
Well, that was just, it was cool to be able to hang out with you and just get to know you a little bit just during that little drive. And, so I appreciate you attending WebinarCon. Now you're one of our speakers. And I thought this would be a great time to segue into asking you guys, and we'll start with you, Jeff. What do you plan on sharing at the event? Do you know yet? I mean, Christy probably knows better than I do, obviously. But is there anything you'd like to share with what you would like to kind of get across to the attendees when we get to WebinarCon?
I'm actually open to a little bit of input. If anybody on this call wants to steer me, I feel like there's really three things that I can talk about, that I have some sort of uniqueness of qualification to discuss. One is kind of what I just discussed, which is going from, let's call it moneymaker to moonshot, going from, call it consumer mindset to enterprise mindset, right? If anybody wants to have that conversation about what does it look like to take one of these cash rich businesses and try to convert it into something that, could literally IPO at some point and, has to deal with, and I'm not saying that's our plan. Don't go tell the world, oh, Jeff said they're going to IPO, but I mean, just dealing with like governance and dealing with like really building up high level executive team. And, so that's one angle I could go, because I haven't really heard a lot of, IM guys have that conversation. There's only really a few that have done it. And then the other thing I could talk about is very much on the social branding side. So in 3 years, I've basically gone from never heard of this guy to, we between paid and organic get about 50 million impressions a month between the Google ecosystem and the Facebook, Instagram ecosystem. And, have kind of have scaled up really fast on the social branding side. And that's that's a big part of our USP. You know, it creates this halo effect when the whole world knows who you are. And it's pretty novel to like walk through an airport and have people be like, hey, are you a YouTuber? And like, you know, just, oh my gosh, this is trippy, but you see it in the numbers. And I know a lot of us, we kind of fancy ourselves more behind the scenes guys, kind of like the wizards behind the curtain. But man, there's something magic happens when the world starts to know who you are. But it's also a lot of pressure because you got to quality control everything all the time because people love to talk bad about somebody they recognize. So I could talk from that angle. And then the third angle is I think just really like a in the weeds, you know, sales conversions conversation, which I'm on day 2. So maybe that's the most apropos, you know, superficially anyways, is like, you know, we run our business. We have a few key kind of levers that we lean on, but, you know, at the core of it, we've got to it's really at the center. It's like the nucleus of this whole enterprise that we're building. And it puts off consistently 1 to 2 million a month in sales that phone people basically just call to scoop up the orders. I mean, the webinar does the selling or the VSL does the selling. And there's probably $40 million of traffic that's been run through it and optimized to the nth degree. So if people want to get nerdy, I can drill into that too. But I'm open to feedback, Andy, yours, Ron's, the audience here, like whatever, man. What do you guys want to hear about?
Yo, Jeff, if I can, is it cool if I chime in on that, Andy?
Oh, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So to validate what you're talking about, not that you need my validation, obviously, but I'm kind of leaning more towards what you're discussing as well. Like you said, the moneymaker to the moonshot. So 2018, when me and my partner split, which I know you know some of the history on that, but 2019, I was really like sitting back thinking, and like I'm in BizOp, right? And BizOp's like super regulated. It's not a sellable business. It's a dancing bear business, and I'm the dancing bear. And so I really start to kind of like ponder the future of like building something that could live 100 years after I'm gone. I think we're in this unique time in history right now where like the human race is becoming a galactic species. We're going to be in outer space eventually. And what's something that I could build that would leave Earth, that's so good that it would leave Earth? And so my business has become kind of like over the last 2 years, it's become like this giant experiment where I'm playing around with a lot of things on the operational side because I have this place where it's, you know, it's a cash cow. It makes money. It spits off cash. And so I have the buffer to fuck around with a bunch of stuff and test stuff so that when I build my legacy business, I can take those learnings and build a legacy business faster without the, you know, with at least the choice of whether or not I want to take external investment capital and potentially IPO. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards too, Andy. And I had a call with Ron asking like his perspective. And I was originally blowing off the idea of talking like big picture, like building an organization. And Ron's like, because I was like, yo, Ron, like most of these people coming to this thing are like lifestyle entrepreneurs. They just want to make a bunch of money and like sit in the Bahamas or something. And Ron's like, yeah, but everybody wants to know the magic trick, even if they don't want to become a magician. So I was kind of leaning towards that as well, Jeff. So I'd be like totally cool to hear your perspective, I think, on building big teams and scaling operations. And that's probably what I was going to talk about, was kind of like my biggest lessons over the last few years of scaling a team and how to like build teams and, you know, KPIs and systems and processes and hiring and firing and all that shit for the few people in the audience that do want to go enterprise, you know? So I think that would be a dope, like I would want to hear that talk.
Well, I mean, that's where my head's at every day, right? So that's the easiest conversation. Right. I mean, if they're, you know, I mean, we all talk this stuff in our sleep, but yeah, I'm open to everybody else's feedback because I had that same question as Keala, like, this is my passion, but is this passion going to resonate with the room? And obviously Andy and Ron, I want to serve you guys. So.
No, absolutely. I believe it's going to resonate in the room. And you guys think it's just for the folks that want to do what you do, but it's also inspiring for the folks that don't necessarily want to build a big business. It just opens your eyes to what's possible. And like, maybe I should be playing bigger. Even if I don't want to have 100 employees, maybe that will inspire me to, go from 5 million to 10 million, or like Brian said, from 5 million to 20 million, just thinking how big the opportunity really is. And Kayala starts talking about he wants to pass on a business that can live in outer space. Like, I can't imagine thinking bigger than that. That's just like, it blew my mind just then. So, I mean, you guys are, I throw this event with Andy, and I get as much from this event as anybody. It helps me think bigger. It helps me meet the right people. It helps me network and connect and get webinar deals, but it also helps me see that this opportunity is so huge that, I'm a lifestyle guy. Like, one thing that working with Anik taught me that really blew me away. He said, I've always thought, like, once you reach a certain point, you have a bunch of money, you've made millions, you're good, you can kind of relax. He said that he's set for life with money, and that is the very reason why he could take on risk and build this huge business to 100 million and plus. I'm like, so you're set for life and now you want to build a huge business? He's like, yeah, because my family is good, everybody's good. I could take on the risk to do it now. So that just kind of opened my eyes to like, wow, this is much bigger than I think it is. So I think that those speeches would go over well and would be very inspiring for folks.
Yeah. And in addition to that, after all, WebinarCon it's been positioned from day one that we want to bring in real players who are doing some big things, not necessarily just with webinars, but, obviously with Ron doing, over 1,000 webinars in his career, and myself, for 16 years putting together JV deals, and for webinars for the last decade. That's where it all began, but really we're all just businessmen and women who are, wanting to grow this thing. So I think it makes total sense to talk as advanced as you guys feel, like you need to, whatever you think will bring the value. So, and keep in mind too, we're going to have breakout sessions. It's like in the afternoons. I think it's on Friday and Saturday afternoon. We have kind of a period of time where we're going to give you guys options to break off into discussions about conversions. So that could be when, Jeff, maybe you talk about your high-level conversion strategies during that. Maybe we make you the leader of that. I don't know, not to put you on the spot, but you're the leader. But we're also going to have some other discussions. So whatever you feel like sharing during your actual presentation is fantastic. And then if you've got something else you want to share, that's when we can break off in, during those mastermind sessions where people can choose kind of their path that they want to take, can come in and listen to what they want to listen to. So, and you can share what you feel is best. So keep that in mind too. So
I appreciate the feedback from everyone. Thank you.
Right on. Yeah. So next, Ryan Jayden, I want to ask you, I know you got to take off here in just a little bit yourself. I think you have a client call coming up and so on. Appreciate you being on for an hour so far as it is, but what can you share with us about what you'd like to discuss and share with people at WebinarCon?
Well, we come from a very unique position. We don't, until recently, we don't have an offer. We bolt on to the back end of everybody else's offer. And so doing those back end sales, my goal, if I could show up at WebinarCon and I could educate 95 of your 100 attendees and help them grow their businesses, and I can pick up 4 or 5 of the rest as clients, I'm going to feel like I accomplished something. There's going to be 3 primary types of people in the room. There's going to be people that are doing back end sales now that need some advice and some help on how to optimize it and do it themselves. There's going to be some people that don't have back end offers that need some real structural fundamentals on how to grow their back end and have an internal sales team. And there'll be a group of people that just don't want to do it. They want to be the content provider. They want to be the widget maker, and they want to outsource it to somebody else. They think salespeople are whiny little people and they don't want to manage it, and they just want to outsource it. And so I just want to give everybody some real key fundamentals of what they could do to either grow it themselves or how to outsource it. We, as a sales team, we typically create a lot of problems. We find all the friction points that the offer provider has. We break merchant accounts. Somebody comes to us with $100,000 a month capacity and we start doing $500,000 a month in sales for them, we'll break their merchant account. And so we need to talk about merchanting, talk about customer service, talk about collections, talk about compliance. We have a full-time FTC attorney-based quality assurance department that analyzes, records, and grades on a 100-point scale every one of our phone calls. And so maybe I'll talk about compliance and how you can avoid some of those pitfalls. I've certainly been involved in some. If you Google enough, you'll find it. And so we just want to be able to provide an opportunity for people to grow and expand their business bigger than they currently are. And like I said, there'll be a handful of people that need some help. There's gonna be a handful of people that want to raise their hand and ask us to do it for them. We'd be more than happy to. And then thirdly, we're launching our first product. Like I said, I just wrote my first best-selling book, and we'll be looking for some JV partners on that as well. I think it's a great niche. It's a great audience that we're going to be attracting. And I think we'll be circling the room looking for partners on that as well.
Yeah, great. Well, I know when John told us about the results you've helped them get just in a couple of years, my eyes bugged. And I was like, man, this would be perfect for everyone at WebinarCon. So the way you just laid that out sounds great. I can't wait to hear the talk myself, so.
Yeah, me too. I'm really looking forward to finding out what I'm going to say.
Right on. That would be good. Hey, you have plenty of time.
Last year we did $40 million in back-end sales for John and his team. And they've been a great client of ours. They're good people. Like I said, he's stuck in Australia right now, but he's certainly been a great client for us. Very, very consistent client. One of the things that we're offering clients right now that sounds a little unheard of is that, and I'll just, if you don't mind, Andy, if I just take 2 minutes to explain this. If you look at my revenue trend per client, if you look at all the clients that we service on the back end, you have your consistent spenders on advertising, and their offer from January to December, year over year, just grows. We set records for them every single month because they have the consistency to advertise on a monthly basis in a scalable fashion. Then you see them, some of our clients, you'll see the revenue spikes and drops every 60 to 90 days. It's because they spend a bunch of money on advertising and then they pucker up and go, all right, well, let's see what the sales results look like. And sometimes a sales cycle on a $10,000 ticket's 45 to, to collection. Like when you actually get the money in your bank account from your merchant, it could be 45 to 60 days. And so one of the things that we started to offer recently is we raised some money to start a fund. And for most of our clients, we will actually take over all their advertising spend. So we'll do their ad spend for them. That way we can control the consistency of it and their scaling. And that's something that I think a lot of product owners would really appreciate, because I think one of the hardest things for a lot of product owners is that faith that when they do their ad spend, over time, that the money's going to return to them. We can see, 4, 5, 6 times ROAS on an offer. We don't mind spending the money on somebody's advertising. And since we have the fund put together to do it, imagine being able to offer a client the opportunity to not have ad spend. So you just kind of come from a publisher's perspective and direction. So that's something that we'll be talking about as well.
Yo, Ryan, that's gangster as fuck, dude. That's a technical term. But I say that because like what you're talking about, when we were scaling initially, like I got to a point we were spending about $1 million to $1.2 million a month. And we were at negative customer acquisition, right? So I'm paying $500 to acquire a $99 buyer. And I've got to wait for that money to come back in on the back end, right? And those cash flow cycles, like when you're running all that and you've got a team and you've got payroll and you're trying to like manage all those cash flow cycles. Let's just say I got a master's degree in finance through the School of Hard Knocks, going through that myself, because there was months where we were bringing in, 1.6, 1.8 million in revenue, but losing money. Cash was sliding backwards because we're full throttle on the front, just advertising. So it's like very difficult. I don't think the average entrepreneur can manage that without somebody on their team that's really highly qualified to manage that cash properly and ensure that there's enough there to float the business until that cash comes back in from all the advertising, man. So if you guys take that off the entrepreneur's plate, that's huge.
Yeah, thank you for that, by the way. We have a very unique position in the entire life cycle of somebody's business. We only thrive and we only succeed on the back end when somebody did a great job on the front end. And so we get to see from back to front all of the friction points. And when I look at my client list and I look at the struggles that my own personal clients have, we start building companies and ancillary services that go and try to fix those friction points. We have direct access to banks for lending. We have direct access to banks for merchanting. We have a whole company that does customer service and appointment setting and confirmations. Like, we're looking back at that. And one of the things that we found, and it was just this year, it's kind of an epiphany, was that lack of capital for the people that have not received their master's degree in finance from Hard Knocks yet. We don't want them to. We can now come in and fund their offer and take that pressure off of them so they can focus on being a content creator and not have to worry about being a marketer and advertiser.
Totally, bro. Because that was one of my biggest pain points, man. It's like, now I'm all of a sudden like trying to manage all the marketing and sales, and I have no time to focus on actually fulfilling for the client. Right.
Yeah.
And there's like this constant balancing act. So.
Yeah. And one thing that we did is we funded 30% of that fund ourselves. So we have, as the back-end sales company, we have skin in the game as well. So we have, we're not just spending other people's money all the time. So that was something we were really proud of and had really grateful we had the opportunity to do.
Well, guys, this is great stuff. This is kind of, this could be a mastermind call in and of itself, and, I said earlier, we break off into breakout rooms, but hell, let's just keep it like it is. It's a tiny, intimate group today anyway, but man, all you guys are just real players in your own right and what it is you guys bring to the table. So with what you just shared, Ryan, that's going to be a great add to everyone at WebinarCon. Appreciate you sharing that. I know you got to jump off here soon, but is there anything else you want to add before you do?
No, I'll go to any meeting where I get to speak on the same stage as Jeff Lerner, so I feel privileged.
Well, Ryan, I feel like you're going to need to pay me like a little commission or something, because I'm going to go up and talk about everything it takes to build all these enterprise infrastructure, and everybody's going to go, damn, I don't want to do all that. I just need to hire IO Consortium. So you're welcome.
That's the idea, is to go up and create a huge problem and then spend 15 minutes offering the solution.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, isn't that the design always?
Yeah, that's why I have 140 person staff, because I didn't hire IO Consortium. So my bad.
Oh, the humility never fails to impress me, Jeff. I appreciate it. All right.
Good.
And I do apologize for eating and running, but I do have a call that I just pushed for 10 minutes. I'm really grateful to be here. Thanks for everybody's input. And I look forward to more of this. And I look forward to a couple of weeks seeing you guys face to face.
Right on. Thanks for being on here, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Thanks
We'll
a lot,
see you
Ryan.
then. All right. And so let's see. Now, Kayala, I know you're going to be presenting as well. I can't wait to hear yours. So what is it you'll be sharing at the event? I know you already kind of mentioned what you got in mind, but do you want to kind of reiterate or add to it?
I don't really have much to add to it.
Okay, cool.
Just in that, yeah, I mean, I'm leaning towards, like, I was similar boat as Jeff. Like, I was going to kind of just get the approval that it was cool to talk about. But what I would love to talk about is, building an enterprise business and managing teams, operations, hiring, financials, and all the things that it takes, like basically all my learnings over the last few years of like building a team and, hopefully building something that outlives me. So
How to Build Billions on Uranus. It's going to be the title.
we should probably change which planet, bro. It doesn't sound so hot the way that you say it. It sounds like something you'd find on Pornhub, but
I saw that in the chat, Ron. I didn't know you were going to mention it out loud, but that's all right.
Yeah, this just turned into a different kind of IM event.
Hey, it is what it is, man. That's how
That
we
would
roll.
be the best title, though, out of all the presentations.
I'd have to agree with that. Looks like Jeff's got to jump off here. Jeff, appreciate you being on here, man. Guys, all of you, can't wait to see you at WebinarCon. I want to welcome someone who just joined, John Penberthy. I don't know if you're able to jump on here or not. John was actually the winner of the content contest, I think it was, who gave the best presentation, everyone's favorite presentation at WebinarCon 1. John, are you able to jump on for a minute? share a little bit about yourself? Uh-oh, he's faking being on the call. John, come on now.
You put
Andy,
in the
he sent a
chat.
message in chat that said he doesn't have audio and video.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, John, no problem, man. Well, I'll just give John some props here. He really brought it last time talking about YouTube ads at WebinarCon. He was voted, top speaker, and he is returning to WebinarCon from the UK. And so he's making that commitment to come across, and can't wait to have you with us then, John. So great to have you here. And one thing I wanted to, yeah, you're welcome. No problem, John. One thing I wanted to add too, Chin, now with you being on here and being your first time going to WebinarCon and so on, what can you share with, like, what would you like to get out of this event? I know you kind of already shared that, but based on what you've already heard, have you got any ideas on how much bigger you want to grow your business? Because obviously the guys that have shared some of the next level stuff that they have planned to talk about, do you think that's something that might help you get some ideas when you're at the event?
I know the social branding, that's really important, because my space is really beauty professionals. I know everybody on here has a barber or a stylist or a nail tech. And the social branding and really ways to reach them more to help them get from behind the chair, because a barber or a stylist or a nail tech will never probably reach the level of making $1 million. I know y'all talking about 20 million, 100 million, but they just want to make, an extra 10 grand would change their life each month. I mean, if you're telling them to become a millionaire, that's unheard of in a beauty space, so I just want to learn how I can help them more. They hadn't even wrote books, they way behind. They wasn't even selling products online. When I learned this stuff, I went to the top beauty professionals. These are people with 1 million followers, 500,000 followers, people that do Beyonce's hair and weren't selling a product online. So they're really dinosaurs, but I just try to go back to them of what I learned from, people like you all and implement that. I'm selling weight loss products, all kinds of stuff, but I'm using beauty professionals as the face because they have this massive following, but not selling anything. I mean, so I just really want to learn more. I know Kyla, how his business grew. I'm just interested in learning how did they do that, where I can maybe implement it in the beauty space, because everything I learned in your space, I just go back to the beauty professionals and implement it, because nobody's in my space. I mean, it's when I say it's nobody really does what I do. I mean, I charge 55,000 and 19,000, and I got like 400 and something sales, but I should have more. I just got to learn. I just want to learn more from y'all. But I know y'all are thinking way up here, but the people that I deal with, it's crazy. They scared of a computer. Beyonce's hairstylist, Oprah's hairstylist, they don't even know how to click a button. I do. So y'all are just high level, and they can't even fathom what you all are doing. With him down in Atlanta, I'm listening to him, a webinar, he's talking about 5 million. Well, I want to go to 10 million. If you told them 5 million, they would blow their mind. I mean, $1 million is just crazy for them. So I just want to be able to get as much as I can here and bring it back and implement it to them, and even learn myself, because I'm always learning. I hadn't had a job in 33 years. I hadn't got a check in 33 years. I'm 50 years old. Hadn't got I've been a barber since 17, and I couldn't get a job, because of my prison record. But I just want to be able to reach more people and help them. I mean, I've had stuff like been on Vice TV and A&E and all that, and TD Jakes helped me a lot, but I want to be able to just help them more, because they're way behind in this digital world. When the pandemic came, these people were out of business. I mean, my current girlfriend, she had just went through a divorce, was sleeping on the floor with 2 kids with nothing, and she had just saw me on the internet because I've been talking about online for years, but everybody called me crazy because if you're telling a barber or hairstylist, oh, you can sell how to cut hair, how to do this online, they think you crazy. But when the pandemic hit, everybody bum rushed me, and I just gave them a free course. I spent probably 10 or 15,000 on how to create a digital course. I gave it to everybody just for free to try to bail them out. And then my ex, well, she's my current girlfriend, she literally became a millionaire. And she went from probably 1,200 followers to 170,000 followers, Instagram, and she just sold 100,000 in products. That's not a lot in you all space, but if you tell a beauty professional they made 100 grand in 1 month selling a product, that's like telling you all this person made 100 million. It's just crazy. So I want to get more from, and you all have the stuff that y'all think is nothing. Literally what I would get from you all is going to change their lives. See, y'all take stuff probably for granted, but that's nothing but the things that you all going to be able to give me, I can get them. That girl, my girlfriend, it changed her life. It's just, and a lot of the other beauty professionals. A barber, they're going to cut hair all their life and die behind a chair with varicose veins, carpal tunnel, bad back, bad neck. All of my friends are like that. And I didn't realize that being a barber hairstylist is like playing in NFL, So, but you all have the keys to that. Even Jeff Lerner talked about social branding. They don't even know how to brand themselves. They don't know how to do anything. They never done a webinar. Can't even work Zoom. I had to work the controls for them behind. They can't do anything. So I just want to get everything that you all have. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what happens with this. Like this knowledge gets passed down, like people pass it down to their students and proteges and whatnot, and it has like a much bigger impact than just the people in the room, which is another reason why I love this event. And as you're saying, like the stuff that we talk about, a lot of these guys are doing, are in the biz op market, make money online market. And when you take those same skills, like that market is highly jaded. Like they've seen a lot of the tricks, they're really, really skeptical. But when you take the stuff that we're doing and apply it to other markets like yours, it just really blows up because they have no clue. They haven't seen it, haven't been exposed to it. They actually show up for webinars. If it's an exciting topic that they're into, they don't wait for the replay. They'll show up live. All this stuff is 10 times as effective often in outside markets. So yeah, you're going to have a great time at WebinarCon for sure.
Yeah, and I want to throw in there too, Chen, that, I think the more you can take the advice and, from the presenters, the mastermind sessions, or just the private conversations with people at WebinarCon to apply it to your own business to help improve your own social media following and your own marketing and so on, to bring in more of the people that are looking to you for guidance, then you can take pieces of what you've learned, simple aspects of that, and share it with them. Stuff that you found, like maybe you are sitting down with Jeff Lerner at WebinarCon and you just ask him a couple questions about the social media side of things that you then pass on to your people, just simple things to help get them just a little bit better results than what they're already getting, right? Or maybe you talk to Danielle Leslie, who's going to be at the event, who's taught millions, well, not about millions, but she's taught a ton of people how to effectively create simple online courses and stuff. Maybe you get ideas from her, helps you with your own business that then you pass on to them. So I would look at WebinarCon more as a way to really enhance your own business, and as part of that, get ideas that you can then pass on to them on a simple level, since what you're saying is true about, they just want to make an extra $10,000 a month, that they'd be tickled about, so yeah, I think that would be that'd be my advice right there. So yeah, man, anybody else got anything you'd like to add? At this point, feel free, if you would, to share. If you guys have a tip you want to share about what's working with you right now for with webinars, or if you wanted to even just share, if you haven't already, something that you got from the last event, if you're a returning attendee like a lot of you guys are, something that might help someone else attend who's attending. For instance, with Chen being his first time attending, what would you suggest for him, to kind of keep an eye out for, or, what to expect or whatever?
Yeah, Andy, one thing I would say is for Chen, for you on two fronts, on the stylus nail techs, you're not going to turn them into Chen, I don't think, right? Just being real, for most of them, but you can do the blocking and tackling, the basics, things like SMS, right? Things like customer follow-up, nurturing, reactivating old clients, building a database, and doing simple basic marketing, running an ad, being present on Facebook in their geography, whatever it may be, right? Things like that. Those are the kind of things that a business like that are actually, they're going to be able to pull off either on their own or with your help, maybe a course or something, but they're never going to be Chen. So I wouldn't go down that path right now. There may be some of them that go down that path, but the majority of them, I've sold 2 agencies where all I did is do internet marketing for businesses like that. And I didn't do those niches, but I did contractors and I did chiropractors, dentists, lawyers, things like that. And they don't want to do any of that. Even if they know how, they don't want to do it. Just remember that they don't want to do it. You could design an entire system for barbers, hairstylists, nail techs that involves building a list, right? The most important thing they can do is probably the one thing they don't do, which is an asset. Hey, Tom, they need a list. They need to be able to follow up. And if they know Tuesdays are slow and they know Tuesdays between 12 and 5 are slow, then use marketing to drive people into the salon, for those times. It's things like that I think you can do. And I would love to sit down and chat and, just share ideas and stuff. But those are the things that I think you can make real differences. It'll put 5, 10, 20,000 a month extra in their business. It might not make them a celebrity. They're not going to be doing anybody famous's hair, but they're going to be making money and they're going to remember that they got it from your training. I mean, and I think that's some of the best things you can do for them. And then my other comment was being new. The one thing that I did, and I should have did a better job last year, was talking to lots of people. I felt like I tried to talk to everybody and it wasn't that many. It was 100, 125 maybe. Just try to meet and talk to everybody. Just make that personal connection. I am glad I came to this. My kids are out on the boat right now, and I said, you know what? I'm going to stay and I want to do this call right now because I want to see who's going to be here. And I know that when I get there, I'm not going to say Keela Kene. I'm not going to pronounce it Keela, right? I didn't see the video, but I now know, thanks to Ron, right? I can pronounce his name, right? That's half the battle. And I'm going to know your story and the Nashville story, right? And I look forward to meeting you. And I think the more people you build those initial relationships with, who knows, like Tom, who just joined the call, phenomenal guy you're going to want to talk to. And I think it's those relationships it'll make the event a hell of a lot more fun, but it's when you leave the event. I did tons of webinars after the event, and it was the people that I ended up talking to the most that I ended up doing things, even people that I didn't even think it was a good fit. And for instance, Andy brought up the guy that Joel Peterson that had the crypto webinar that had been doing really well. It wasn't a perfect fit for my audience. I did it. I think I still made like 30 or 40K on it for an hour's work. It wasn't half bad, right? And Joel's a stand-up guy, about as good as they get. And there are so many people like that. Somebody mentioned John Anderson. I talked to that guy briefly at the event last year. I remember he was Australian. He was super tall. My last name's Anderson. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do stuff with this guy. That's one of the things I dropped the ball on. I never followed up. I just got caught up in my own thing. And that was a guy that I really wanted to chat with. But there's going to be so many, looking at this list that Ron shared, there's so many good people, so many good ideas. It's going to be like, you got to be like a sponge and like suck them in. And I try to write little cliff notes. So I remember, all right, scaling sales team back and this name. So I always remember, because it's hard to remember all these people, especially if I didn't know them, beforehand. And that's what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to make those personal relationships in the hall. I try to go to the sessions. At a lot of events, people blow the sessions off. And I'm the first one to admit at Traffic and Conversion, I probably went to 20% of the sessions at most. And I hung out at night, at the bars, in the hallways. But here, I think I went to all but one session. I don't know why I missed one. I think I actually had a webinar I had to do from one of Onyx offices last time. But you know what? This event, the sessions are extremely good. And I don't say that, I'll be honest. Most of the conferences I go to, the sessions are glorified fodder before somebody sells you something. These sessions are flipping gold. And honestly, you should thank, I don't remember the lady's name that referred you, but this is going to be the best use of your money. You could have gone to 20 other events and 15 or 15 plus would have been a waste of your time. But I can tell you, I don't know you from Adam, but I can tell you this is a phenomenal event. And I'm, like I said, I'm coming in early and I'm staying late. I got a friend coming from the UK over for the event. And I can't wait. I was with Mike Philsame and Cordetta a few weeks ago, Tom, at the Cocoa Beach thing. And I said, I got to tell you, the best conference I've been to in years is this conference. And I said, you guys are crazy not to go, right? And I was guilting them. And I just kind of leaned into them. I'm like, why wouldn't you go? You should, not just one of you, all should go. I mean, this is perfect. But anyway, Chen, I look forward to chatting. And I have some ideas because I have a brick and mortar business. I co-own my brother's AC company, and I still have a couple hundred clients that do that kind of stuff. It's the blocking and tackling, though, for those guys that are going to make the money. And don't try to kill it. Just a little bit, and maybe you can find a way that they outsource it because they're not going to do it. Kind of like if you buy that first course and you never use it, well, they're not going to do anything you tell them at first. You're going to need to make it really easy for them to digest and to do. Otherwise, it'll just sit and they'll be like, wow, I really love that. And then it'll grow further and further from when they've seen it, and they'll never do anything. So that's something you gotta watch. But anyway, I look forward to chatting and can't wait to meet you.
Hey, I love, I just came in, but that's the Millionaire Barber right there. I picked up on this, right? So when Brian talks, people listen. He shared some great insights. And it's funny that we're in this world where Brian's like, I did that webinar and I only did like 30, 40,000. Like we're in this world like,
I mean, it's
one
crazy,
webinar,
right?
I know, like one webinar, an hour or so to generate 30 to 40,000. And that wasn't the highlight. That was just, oh, by the way, I did that one. And it turned into 30 to 40,000. So this group of people is amazing. Just to come in and see all the faces here. This in and of itself is a mastermind if you scroll and see the faces and names here, this is the cream of the crop here. So I'm thankful I was able to jump in and see y'all still here, but any way I can help out, it's going to be amazing. I'll be the MC at the event again this year, and I'm super looking forward to it. This is, as Brian just mentioned, this is the place to be. Out of all the events that happen, you aren't lost in the crowd. Everyone there is there to help. How can I help you? Where are you? How can I help you? And it's an elite level of people that I am looking forward to breaking bread, having conversations with, having some laughs, and producing some great profits as a nice side benefit as well.
Yeah, Tom, thanks for adding that. And Tom's a valuable part of our event as well. Ron and I were talking just the other day, a couple of days ago, about how even keel Tom, I mean, he's full of energy all the time, but man, behind the scenes of a live event, there are always things going on that you could get stressed out about. Man, he just goes with it. We make changes on the fly, overcome and adapt, right? Is that what you always say, Tom? And
Marine Corps, improvise, overcome, improvise, adapt, overcome. Improvise, adapt, overcome. Yes. Yep. And so Tom's always got everything on track. But so Tom, I appreciate you bringing that up. And I wanted to add something too about the speakers that Ron and I, well, with Christy's help too, obviously this time we spend a lot of time over the last, 4 or 5 months. We knew right from the start, because it happened last year, we're going to get hit up out of the woodwork from everyone who wants to speak, right? And it's so hard to let everyone speak, right? And so we had to come up with topics and so on that we wanted to have speakers about, and then we just gradually slotted people in that made sense. And there are a lot of people, like Brian Anderson's one of them. And Brian, I'll make a public
somewhat public apology to you. That we had talked about him speaking, and the conversation got on the back burner. And then as we were talking about speakers and everything, I totally forgot about us agreeing that we would consider him for that. So apologies to you for that, because Brian can bring the heat too. But my point is that that you guys that are on here that have already agreed to present, and the others that will be on, we spend a lot of time making sure that the guys and gals that are on are really bringing the heat for everyone, so that people do want to be in that room, and so that they can, up level their game on the content side of things, because that's why we've got the actual networking activities on the outside, the speed dealing sessions that we'll have, and the mastermind sessions we're going to have, plus the parties we're having in the evenings. And there's going to be plenty of time to network and talk and do deals. But man, when you guys are out there presenting, the stuff that's made you millions of dollars, people really should be paying attention to that. So that's why we spend so much time on that. So, so with that said, I can stay on here another half hour, but I know we've been on for 90 minutes plus. Is there anything that anyone would like to add, ask, or share before we do jump off here? So
I do have a question. I have a question, sure. Andy.
Sure.
So on the itinerary that Christy sent, it looks like every day there's a panel. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there's like a panel.
Okay.
So are the speakers from that day also on the panel? That's what I'm confused about. Because
no, not necessarily. We want to find people from the audience, because as Andy said, everybody can be pretty much a speaker at that event. So we're finding, Jan, like Brian Anderson, we're going to ask to be for sure to be on a panel. We may, have Chin on a panel. So we're going to find people from the audience and give them a chance to share their stuff as well.
Got it. Okay. So we don't know who's going to be on panels.
Not yet.
Okay.
But at the same time, if, for instance, if you have an interest in being on any of the panels that we have, absolutely let us know, because that'd be great too. So,
well, I guess, yeah, my curiosity was because like right before the panel on Sunday, I'm speaking about scaling, right? And then the scaling panel is right after that. So I wasn't sure if I was doing like both back to back and I just didn't know it, or I just want to make sure I'm prepared is all. That's it.
Sure. You know yeah. So the panel, that would just basically be whoever's on it would just be open to answering questions from anyone in the audience about that topic. And so if you wanted to be a part of that, you could. If after your presentation, you're like, man, I need to split for a while or whatever, that's fine too. So
yeah, the way we try to set it up is two presentations and then some type of networking mixer type of event or some type of panel. So you're speaking right before the expert panel and right after Ed O'Keefe. So, I mean, if you want to be on it, you can. We can throw you on there, but you don't have to.
Yeah, I think that's the key right there. And it's like, if you feel like, you know what, I want to stick around and be on the panel, feel free. But if you're like, I'm beat, like Andy said, no obligation to be there for the panels, but it is congruent with the topic you just talked on, is going to lead into furthering with the panel. Could be people that you'd be happy to have you up there, but if you're not wanting to be there, that's cool too.
I mean, I'm cool with being on the panel. Scaling is like a super fun topic for me, so I'd be happy to. According to what Jeff was saying while we were on here, I mean, I'd kind of like to have him on that panel too, since he's on that same wavelength for scaling. So anyway, whatever, however it works. But those topics I could talk about for days on end. So I'm not going to be burnt out when I'm done talking. I just wasn't sure I wasn't sure who's on these panels. You know what I mean? Which a lot of times the experts panels are like some of the best stuff because you can actually ask questions and shit. You know? Yeah,
we'll figure out. It's still a work in progress, you know. So 2 weeks left. We're going to be adding some. We're meeting behind the scenes, trying to make this not just a speaker event. We want this to be an experience. We want this to be a mastermind. We want this to be something that everyone walks away like, this is the best event. Like Brian was saying, we want to make it like that again. It's the best event I've ever been to. So we're gonna meet as a team to talk about how to put all this stuff together. So some things may move around, and 2 weeks is kind of like an eternity.
Yet it'll be here before we know it too.
And
Yeah.
you guys are still taking signups then, right? Because you said you're looking at 100 people and you got almost 100 right here on the list that you sent us. So
Right. We probably hopefully add another 15 or so people. So yeah, we're definitely taking more people.
Okay, cool.
But high quality people, like I didn't promote this to my BizOp list. I'm just, most of this stuff, most of the people that are here have been invited, like hey, you got to come to this event, so we're trying to keep it high level. This is not something we go run Facebook ads to the ClickFunnels page to promote. It's just most of it is word of mouth and invite only.
Right. Well, I haven't posted anything about it on social at all. So I was gonna make some posts, see who else might be interested.
Yeah, go for it.
You don't want me to send it to my BizOp list though? Is that what you're saying? You don't want me to
yeah, it's probably
how to get rich in 30 days, attend WebinarCon? No?
Right. Yeah, that's probably not a great idea. But we do appreciate that. And if any of you guys don't have we have a graphic that we've made up. I believe you have yours, Kayla. There I go. I almost said it wrong again. But we have a graphic you guys can use too if you want to post it, just saying that you're either appearing or speaking at WebinarCon. Happy to get that set up for you guys quickly if you don't already have it. And we're also offering $100 commission for you guys if you have someone you refer. So it also gives them $1,000 discount as well. So everyone wins.
Yes, $1,000 commission. You said 100.
Did I say 100? $1,000 commission. All right, there we go. Another zero to that.
Giving you a $10 commission.
Well, you was just under promising and over delivering.
That's right. That's right. We'll surprise you with $1,000. If you're happy with 100, man, you're really going to be happy with that. So, but no, we appreciate you guys just sharing. Like even if you just made a post or two or whatever, just sharing that you're going to be there, and if it leads to someone coming, fantastic. Happy to pay you a commission, but we just appreciate any kind of gesture like that anyway. But like Ron was sharing with the numbers, we have no concerns. Of course, everyone has goals, what you want to hit for a live event or whatever, and we pretty much think we're going to hit our goal, which was 100 to 125 people. And last time, you guys may remember who were there, we asked, you guys want us to make this a bigger event, like 500 people? And everyone was like, we want to keep it small, just like this, right? And so obviously we could have spent the time, energy, and money to plan out a much bigger event, but we wanted to give you guys what you wanted. And we feel like that's the best thing anyway for what we're doing here. This isn't about us trying to create some huge event company, to have massive events and so on. This is about doing this repeatedly and then each time doing it better. Now we want to make it each one better than the one before. And so I think I speak for Ron when I say that.
Right. And the topic is, some specific topic that attracts high level people, webinars. Like most people are scared to death to get on the mic and do a webinar in front of an audience. Right. So it kind of rules out a lot of people just because of the topic and the price point. So that's why we attract a good crowd, good audience, a high level audience that everybody benefits from.
And what is the price point? 5K?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then so if somebody buys through our link, it's 4K.
Yeah, if they use you can give you a coupon code, they can get $1,000 off. So it'd be 4K.
Got it.
Yeah, and just as a little background, the way this whole thing even came about, last year, Ron and I were talking. Well, before Ron and I were talking, we each hit up Onik individually because we knew we could potentially rent out his Learn Center, and he told Ron. Onik told Ron. Onik told me, "Hey, you guys need to get together. You guys are both contacting me about the same thing." Next thing you know, Ron and I are talking about partnering up. And then when we found out how much Onik was charging for the event center, we're like, "Ooh, I don't know." And then Onik came back to us and put our heads together. He said, "Let's just partner on this." And so that's how the first one came about. Ron had already put together webinar masterminds before in the past, at his home and so on. And I've been wanting to put one on live. I've been doing them virtually for a couple of years. And so then we did what we did. And then now Onik, with how Lerner has grown and his health issues. He had some health issues where he required surgery and so on. He really needed to take a step back and focus in on one thing at a time. And he gave us full blessing to take this on and wanted to be a speaker for us on this one. And he's been great to make that transition. And so we just want to make it, just keep on carrying on that name to help you guys out as much as possible. So that's kind of how that transitioned. Anything else anyone has to share before we jump off here? I'm here for you guys. This is a party call as a bonus for anyone who's attending. But I think this has been a great little mastermind call of sorts, if nothing else.
I'll throw this in. I'm just hoping this is like hot tub time machine, because the last time we did the event, we turned into the Twilight Zone. So I'm hoping this time when we do it, right? Things turn back like to more normal what we grew up in. But we shall see as this crazy journey unfolds. But I thought it's pretty funny. Like after the first one, we entered the Twilight Zone. So here we are. This one might reset things a bit. So that's the goal going into this.
That's
more
right.
Profits, more revenues, and transition out of the Twilight Zone. So that's a little hidden goal of the event as well.
Well, that's what's really cool about the first event was I remember Anik, Ron, and myself were talking about, setting a date or whatever. And I remember specifically Anik had mentioned, do you think we ought to push it back to April something? And we were like, no, we think the sooner we get this in, the better. I can't remember the reasoning for it, but man, the timing couldn't have been better because I know it was the Monday following WebinarCon is when the stocks crashed, right? And then all the shutdowns happened within a week or two after that. And so we were just fortunate to be able to get it in to begin with. So
and little did we know how important the contacts and the discussions would lead to in that transition to the Twilight Zone, change from doing live events to virtual events, which was a total hand in glove win for everybody that was at WebinarCon. Like, oh crap. Now I wasn't planning on doing so many webinars, but guess what? That's the only option that we have. So it was a really perfect timing. So that's kind of, we'll see where this one goes, but I know that regardless of where the path of the world goes, this will once again be a huge growth opportunity for everybody who's there. So I'm super pumped to see everybody press some flesh, break some bread, have some high fives and kick some butt in the upcoming 2022.
Right on. Well, with that, guys, if no one has anything else, I want to remind you, if you haven't already, to fill out that form that was shared earlier. It's at webinarcon.com/form. It's very easy to remember, to submit your information for the directory that, again, is a printed thing that you all are going to get, very similar to this, that you guys can use throughout the year. So make sure you do that. Also look for emails from Christy Birch, who's on this call and has been this whole time. She spoke a little bit earlier about what to expect at the event. She's our event coordinator. She's the one making sure everyone has everything prepared for the event. And lastly, I'll tell you, feel free to reach out to me personally if you need anything at all. If you have any questions, I'm here for you guys. And I'll be looking at your directory submissions as well in advance, along with a couple people on my team, to kind of, and this is kind of supposed to be a little bit of a surprise, I guess, but really what we're going to do is see who you might be a good match for among the other attendees before we even get to the event, so that maybe we can help push that along once we get that rolling for you guys each on a personal basis. So wanted to share that with you as well. Ron, you got anything else you want to add?
I think that's all. Looking forward to seeing you guys there in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be an amazing event. We're going to have a great time. Looking forward to the Christmas party. I don't get to go to Christmas parties anymore, so I'm looking forward to that at WebinarCon, and this is going to be a fun time. So see you guys there. Safe travels.
See you guys. Nice meeting everybody. Bye.
Later, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on. We'll see you.